Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're checking out an album from an act named Tiger Goods titled Year of the Tiger. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the album on Spotify, Year of the Tiger. We're going to be listening through 3 of these tracks today: Push and Pull, Enough Now, and Do It. It's also worth noting that this album is available on Apple Music as well as presumably other digital streaming platforms. I just have a Spotify subscription, so I'm using Spotify. But anyways, listen to these tracks. Here we think. Let's go. Oh, that's really charming. Immediately with those synths, those claps, you know, the vocal chops, the oscillation, pulling inwards and outwards of those synths, kind of dope.
You got that push, that pull.
Oh, nice somber kicks.
Don't fall in love, that's your role.
Nice breathy performance here, very comfortable.
Now I'm feeling like a fool. You got that push, that pull. Don't fall in love.
Nice extra development there in that second half of the chorus with those additional vocal takes. And those little kind of flutters, the rises there, wow, you know, nice transitional devices there. Not having the vocals come in straight away, it's the little things, right? These cute synths on the side as well, that wow, you know, the slow envelope on them for the attack is that they're gorgeous, dude.
She make all the calls. Now I'm feeling lost. You got that push, that pull. Don't fall in love, that's your role. Oh girl, your love can be so cruel.
Oh, we got the push, keep it pushing in the background as well. That's a really interesting sub-layer.
Now I'm feeling like a fool. You got that push, that pull. Don't fall in love.
Interesting groove to those hi-hats on the left as well. It's kind of dope.
Oh girl, your love can be so cruel. Now I'm feeling like a fool.
A little bit of filtering there just to kind of laid it out there nicely. Interesting position of the guitars. I wouldn't necessarily put them there myself. It might have been good to have them separate in the stereo field from the vocals, just because they do occupy a somewhat similar frequency spectrum. To have them just a bit wider, you know, just so there's a change of textures there. But I also understand we've got a lot of our stuff happening in the stereo field, so it's fine. Don't get me wrong, you know. Very much a subjective thing, you know. Don't fall in love, that's your role. Okay, so we've definitely got the ABA structure going in here. Or rather, the chorus hooks are BABA. Yeah. Oh, melodic rapping, nice.
Some sad can be cold and detached, but baby girl, how I end up like that? You complain that I don't listen, so I don't talk. Now we have intention. Been thinking lately, reminiscing something.
I like the tone of the drums. Like, I'm also enjoying the phrasing and the flow of what she's doing here vocally. But there's some really interesting, vocals, instrumental sounds here, and I'm liking the quality of those samples. Great iteration of that book title, you know. It's easy. Easy to follow, easy to sort of like sing along to, catchy hook there with a bit of extra sort of like a context to the end. Yeah, I reckon that track there, Push and Pull, is about someone that you're in a relationship with and they really just don't want to commit, but they keep sucking you in and spitting you out, etc. I think that's basically what it's about. I think there'll be a lot of people who can relate to that. Oh, nice. Great track to open with, Year of the Tiger. We've got enough now though. Track 2 for today, but track 3 off of the album. Oh, really somber with the guitar parts and these vocal parts. It's nice just to have it as more of an instrument or a melody than anything else, you know? Spacey sync with the synths going around the sides of the field. And a pulsating bass line, dude. You kind of tell it's going to be a banger, right? I love the portamento on those synth-lays, man. Works really well with the softness of those vocals and the coloration in them. Great variety in the grooves as well, the percussion. I'm enjoying the complexity, the diversity there. Oh, nice use of extra sort of modulation in that lower range as well. Oh yeah, those trappy kind of 808s, kick focuses. That was quite quick at the end. I don't think I got everything in the latter half of that verse. But it's interesting. I think we'll hear the end out. Just really great juxtaposition tonally between the verses and chorus. A lot more sweetness in that hook than in this middle part. I think it's written in that down low area sub bass wise. Guess I've got enough cloud now. Sorry I interrupted that. We're going to go back a little bit just to hear that out.
It's fucking tragic.
It's tragic. Yeah, man. Absolutely. It is tragic. It's terrible. They were going through that, having to deal with that garbage, you know? Sucks, you know, having to deal with, you know, people only wanting you when you're popular or when you're on point. I'm guessing that this is potentially Tiger Goods having gone through some success with their work and people finally being like, oh yeah, I want to hear you now. I want to get behind you now. I want to get with you. That kind of vibe there, kind of the two-faced kind of situation there with people. It's really interesting. It's kind of good. I think there'll be people who can relate to that, who've maybe had people ignore them when they weren't doing so well, and when they're doing better, suddenly they come out of the woodwork. Yeah, I really like the theme behind that with those really kind of, there was like melodic or harmonic minor scales going on there with those key sigs. I just think it was really exotic sounding. There was a bit of confusion there, but it was also really euphoric. But we've got Do It, number 7, the final track for today. So we're going back to sort of like a temporary hip-hop trap roots. Really cute little video gamey kind of synth there. I like the chiptune kind of vibes from that.
Bitch, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Let me fall in every season like a mum. Said she only came out just to have fun. Girl, why sound like you've been on the run? Calm her down, she making it hot, 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 hot. Never bring no randoms to the spot, almost got 3 hats in a cot, lock back, and got blessed a lot, This right here ain't for the male gaze though. This right here deserve the front page, ho.
It's like a really simple bass line, boom, boom, with some extensions on top. But the vocals, as well as some of those other little tingles on top, are really making it special.
As girls on stage though, every night I'm in and out, I gotta make plays. Got a pretty face.
See what I mean? Like there's little fluid things go in and out, fluctuations there. Sometimes we just completely cut the backing and bring it back in.
Cause I do it for the bitches and my time worth money. I can never chase no nigga. Who you do it for? Who you do it for, bitch? Who you do it for? Who you do it for, bitch? Who you do it for? Who you do it for, bitch? Who you do it for? Who you do it for? Drop the dependent, you independent. Stacking the spending, don't need no rent. Guess I was chosen, so I gotta see it through.
The vocal modulation here is pretty intense, but I like the style of it. I like how it adds sort of a legato feel to it. And the notes round off really nicely. There's a smoothness to it.
Always do it for
That's
the
dope.
bitches, cause they do it too. If it's me or you, that's the who she gon' choose. Know your ego got her hurt, it got a little bruise. Little crystal shorty asking for my big 3. If you find enough, wife, you might allow the 3. Always live it up when you're doing it with me. Always stack it up, cause this shit ain't never free. Resume getting solid, let me put my shit though. Your advice, you ain't never had it. I got a pretty face, cause you know I do it for the bitches on the grind, stack and shine. Cause I do it for the bitches in the club, they showing love. Cause I do it for the bitches and my time worth money. I can never chase no nigga. Who you do it for? Who you do it for, bitch? Who you do it for? Who you
So like she's talking about what she's doing all this for. And then she's talking about now who are you doing it for, you know? What are you all about? You know, what's your life like? You know, what's your purpose, you know? Ah, that slow down. Dope. Because that's kind of a fashionable thing. I see some people like deliberately slowing down their tracks and then speeding them up. It's kind of wild, man. Like vocal modulation and this thing kind of like the tape replay of it and switching up and kind of cutting it up. It's fantastic what people are doing nowadays and what's more acceptable, I think, stylistically. I think it's great that people are being so creative. And this is my conclusion of my review of Year of the Tiger by Tiger Goods. What do I think this album is about? I think it's about her talking about like maybe relationships or situations she's in where people have sort of, pulled only like basically showing love and then sort of, push them away enough now where, it's just, they're at the point now where they're successful and they're just saying, look, am I good enough for you now? This is ridiculous. It's sad that we're at this position. And then Do It is talking about what they do and how they do things in their life and basically saying, this is my purpose. This is who I am. This is what my year is going to be like. Now, what are you going to do about it? I don't have the time to be wasting time with people who aren't doing the best they can or not doing it, I think it's great. The stories are things that I think other people will relate to. I mean, I think that they're interesting stories. I'm not going to pretend I got all the words clearly, but a lot of them came through really well. And the ones I did get, they made sense and were coherent and easy to follow along to. And the hooks were catchy and the verse parts were added a bit of extra context I thought was really important. The vocal performance itself was great. I liked the clean vocals. I liked a bit of modulation on them. I liked the rapping as well as some melodic rapping we had. There was a variety of different vocal styles here, and I think that Tiger Goods pulled them off. Comfortable within their vocal range, not a whole lot of ornamentation or really kind of crazy flamboyant sort of technique there, but I don't think we needed to do like wide vibratos or anything like that to make this work. I don't think it would necessarily fit the tone and timbre style of the music we were doing. The way that she carried herself there made sense with a lot of the sort of synthy, kind of synthwave-ish, kind of sort of trappish kind of stuff that we were working with, and I think it was fantastic. And it was also nice, especially with those kind of fuzzy guitars that we had enough now that we knew to kind of like stand back and be part of the aura, you know what I mean? To not just try and be the focal point the entire time. We knew to step back and let it be a part of the wash of the ambience itself. So well done on that front. I think that, you know, the vocals were handled well. There were some interesting melodies and harmonies there, and there was enough variation in the note choices there to make it worthwhile listening through that and having a good time. I also firmly believe that, you know, we had a fantastic time. You know, a fantastic time with like the tracks themselves, you know, structurally, you know, like these tracks were between 2.5 and 4 minutes. And I think that was great. I mean, I don't think there was any filler. There were obviously the typical kind of verse and chorus parts there. There were interesting instrumental intros occasionally, and we got a good sense of some of the backing components there, whether it was the synths or the bass or the drums or the guitar parts or whatever else was going on there with those pads. And there are a lot of like variations with the percussive parts as well, interesting sort of rhythms there. There were interesting decisions made with some of the leads, as well as not only the textures and timbres of those, how they felt and how they sounded, but also how they flooded and how they were sort of treated, which frequency spectrum they were in, whether they were up high or in the middle, kind of working with Tiger Goods there. The only decision I was kind of unsure about was the guitar part in the middle of push and pull, but I think that was primarily just because I wasn't sure about the panning of it, where it was positioned in the mix. So that's not necessarily a compositional decision. I think that again, we understood how to develop a track in terms of a compositional perspective and bring it up and keep moving it forward, whilst not allowing it to become too much, and whilst also not forgetting to keep it, you know, like easy to sort of, how do I describe it? I guess what I was thankful for in Push and Pull, especially at 3:44, was we had that rapping bit at the end. Because while I was really happy with the development of the instrumental parts in each of the verse and chorus sections there, we had more as we went along without being too much. We still retained the catchiness of the hook there with that repeated vocal melody. We also just had a different way of expressing ourselves with a bit of additional context there that kind of makes it worth getting to the end of the song. So I'm really happy about that. I think that there were good decisions made here from someone who clearly knows what they're doing. And it shows, man. They've got like 4 to 5 figure plays on each of these tracks, so they clearly know what they're doing. While we may have had like chord progressions repeated for each of these tracks and bass lines repeated, the way that we used different instruments and sort of layers and took them away or came back, and the way we varied when things came in, came out, and sort of cut things to kind of make the vocals kind of stand out sort of in a staccato-ish way. Or we simply had filtering from a post-production perspective. We made sure that even if we were repeating these chord progressions, vocal melodies, even if they were 2-chord ones such as in Do It, we did not sleep on it. We had enough range there to keep it exciting throughout. And almost to an extent, we were with enough now. I was kind of sad that it went at 2.5 minutes. It's almost like I did not get enough of that huge sounding, huge, luxurious hook section with those fantastic harmonies in there, that brightness, that beauty in there was wonderful. It was so effective to go down to the 808ish kind of drum section and the verse parts, don't get me wrong, wonderful contrast between A and B. But I almost feel like I wanted more from Enough now because I wanted to hear more, and I suppose that's kind of the beautiful thing about a 2.5 minute track. If it's done well, you're left wanting, you're left feeling without, and that's kind of what we need in this situation. I needed to feel like I wanted to move to the next one, and that's very effective. I think that the themes there, the note choices there, the extensions or the complications with the harmonies and melodies came from the different layers and how they amalgamated. Each of the ideas involved was relatively simple, aside from like quite the variation in the drum grooves and stuff, like especially in Enough Now and stuff like that, which had fantastic sort of 16th note, 8th sort of mashups. But yeah, all in all, it was really intricate. It was simple when it needed to be, and there was nice range and diversity there, and everything felt nicely connected. I think finally, you know, the production, recording, mixing, and mastering was fantastic. I had a great time listening to this track, so it was commercially mastered. I think that it was a professional grade studio production here. I think that when I listen to a track like this, I go, okay, right, so the vocals are nicely filled and EQ'd. There's a bit of modulation occasionally. There's some repeaters and stuff and sub-layering of those vocals occasionally, like in parts of Push and Pull and such. So we clearly understand dynamic range, the importance of that, as well as changes of perceived loudness there. We've also got lots of different sort of synth and guitar parts in center, but also the drum parts kind of scatter around the place, and little bits of variation and the panning of it, like in Enough Now. You know, we clearly have a post-production down to a T. So that's nailed. The EQing of the rest of the instruments, as well as the side chaining of the kicks and stuff like that alongside the 808s when they came, was great. Without any weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. There was filtering and effects at trying to switch things up and cutting of the actual waveforms and stuff like that in the DAW they were using. It was nice and low without pumping, and it was it's damn near, it's exactly what we need of a person, you know, doing this kind of music these days. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of Tiger Goods for what they managed to accomplish with Year of the Tiger. Hopefully it is their year. It's definitely a great start. Thank you very much for watching my review of this album, Year of the Tiger, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out Tiger Goods' various social medias and his Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.